Day before yesterday was the 6th anniversary of the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling known as the Kelo decision that permitted state and local governments to use the power of eminent domain to take private property from one person or business and give it to another private entity. You have all said you favor the initiative on the ballot this November that would prohibit the use of eminent domain for private economic development, so I'm going to expand this issue just a little bit for you. Now, some people would argue that when the state provides grants and other direct assistance to companies to entice them to come here, you are taking the private property of taxpayers, namely their money, and giving it to other private entities for economic development purposes. What do you see as the government's role in the economic development, and how do you justify taking taxpayers' money and giving it to other private entities? We're going to start with Dave Dennis.
All right, candidly, on the eminent domain that you're referring to, we've addressed that, but I'd like to refresh people a little bit on the fact that it passed the House, the Senate, Governor vetoed it, came back to the Senate, it had passed the Senate unanimously, and you got weak leadership versus strong leadership. The Senate could not override Governor Barber's veto, and I disagree with Governor Barber on the eminent domain proceeding on the economic development issue. Unanimous on the first vote, could not sustain the veto. That's the difference in strong leadership versus weak leadership. With respect to incentives for economic development, there's a case if you can make it, if there's sustainable ability for a company and verifiable ability for them to make certain they pay it back with reversionary clauses. A call center down on the coast in Long Beach, actually, their 10-year exemption finished, they left. They went to a new place in Tennessee, actually, and I'm certain they're going to leave as soon as that's over. If you have incentives, they have to be put in a position of having reversionary clauses so that people are personally and corporately required to pay them back if they sell short and leave early. That's how incentives need to work. If they want some skin in the game from the state or the county or the city to entice them to come here, then they need to bring some chips, if you will, to the table to make certain that if they're here, if they're employing people, that what they get as an incentive is taken care of in a reversionary manner if they leave early.
Okay, and we're going to pause just for a moment. We want to make sure we have the microphone working properly.
Can you hear me now?
No?
Can you hear me now?
Got it. Okay. All right. Don't want to give a fair advantage. We want to make sure we can hear you. Okay. Bill Bryant now.
Well, eminent domain, let's talk a little bit about that. Dave is saying lack of leadership. It certainly did. When Governor Barber vetoed those and sent it back to the Senate, the will of the Senate said we're going to sustain, we're not going to override Republican governors. Now, what happened after that is we had signatures and we gathered them and I signed it. People put it together and it's going to be on the ballot. Now some of our friends on the left said, oh, that's horrible. Phil Bryant just did that, so conservatives will come out in great numbers and vote. I'm going to tell you it's an opportunity for everyone to come out and vote, and once and for all we're going to have a clean voter ID bill, and that's what leadership is about. Now, most of our economic development incentives that Governor Barber's helped put forward that I've worked with him on the last 4 years are loans. In fact, Severstal paid theirs back early. We loan these folks money. They do put about 2/3 of their money into it to get this loan, and we help with some infrastructure. But let me tell you, folks, Toyota, Nissan. Well, I remember when people said, you're last on the list. You'll never get an automobile manufacturing plant. We got Nissan. Then they said, oh, yeah, but you'll never get another one. Then we got Toyota. I think we are the envy of the nation. As I met the other day with Governor Perry, and we talked about economic development, I said, Governor Perry, we're coming. We are coming. But let me tell you what works better than anything, targeted tax cuts. That's why I've cut taxes 6 times since I've been lieutenant governor. Cut taxes on cutting so jobs, which saved 800 jobs in the furniture industry. That's leadership.
And Hudson Holiday. I know. I'm going to get there.
You know, I think Phil just hit on part of the problem in Jackson, Mississippi, and Washington, D.C. The Senate was for it, but they wouldn't vote against the Republican governor. They wouldn't stand up and do what they thought was morally right to do. That is the issue in this country. When we put politics ahead of principle, when we put the party ahead of people, that's what happens. And so, consequence of that, we got to go down there and vote and shove it down their throat. as taxpayers and as citizens of this great state. Now let me say this, money's not like your home place. And a lot of that, and I support them bringing in the big industries. But the hallmark of my campaign has been that we change our image in this state to a more positive image than what it is today. This state will explode in growth and opportunities. We don't go after small business, we go after big business. And you put one in Tupelo, it helps around Tupelo. You put one in Canton, it helps around Canton. We change the image in this state, ladies and gentlemen, to where people want to come here to live and to work. They'll bring their small business here. This state will explode all over this state, not just in those little selected areas. I support the Eminent Domain deal because I don't trust politicians. It would be abused if we don't let that happen, if we let them keep it the way it is. Thank you. Thank you.